great model. Somehow we've got to figure out a way to do that in the telco business. People are going to yell and scream, including everybody who runs an over-the-top service, because we're raising their business costs. Not going to like it. There's no reason they should like it. They're going to oppose it, and oppose it with all the resources at their disposal. We're talking Yahoo and Google and eBay and Amazon and people like that. But truth is, the cable TV model is the clearest model I can think of that allows us to get into a sustainable revenue model forever with every new service that's coming and not have to worry about revenue being where the bandwidth is being consumed. Now, there's something else which is very hard for us to do. If you look at Disney, what they do is they take a character, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, or some other, singers and dancers, and they then create intellectual property around the character, and then all the other businesses get built around it, right? So we're talking clothing, television shows, movies, CDs, right? All of it is built around some sort of intellectual property at the core, content-wise, and that's a very good model. Now, here's the problem. If you're in the communications business, it's very hard to create that. What you need is an emotional bond to be created between the thing that you're selling and the thing that the customer is buying. So Mickey Mouse makes a lot of sense for certain people. Right? Perfume makes a lot of sense for some people. What is the actual margin on perfume? 3 or 4 digits, right? I don't know what it is, but it's very high. Why? People have an intense emotional affiliation with their perfume, with their golf clubs, with the car they drive, with the car they'd like to drive, and lots of other things in life. That's the model that we have to look for. And I would ask you a question. Who of you actually can say they love their bit stream? By definition, it's nonsensical. You might like a voice service because the quality is better, the price is better, or something like that, but nobody who's rational loves their bit stream. So we have a big disadvantage. Now, there was a breakthrough made last year. Absolute breakthrough. For more than 10 years, I've been saying we've got to create a business like Disney or perfume. We need a strong emotional bond with the customer because they'll pay us for the things we're doing because they're so attached to it, right? What is the new thing that happened last year? iPhone. Now, why is iPhone important? People love their iPhones. Very important. It's the first communications product I've ever discovered where people have an emotional attachment to a physical thing. So if you think AT&T was on the wrong track rather, you have to think about it again. They have accidentally or intentionally discovered a very important secret, and that is, how can I make somebody love my service? Give them the iPhone. All right, so you're going to see Android, Limo Foundation, lots of other people trying to create devices that are so attractive, people will bond with them. Once they bond with a device, the bit stream won't matter. They're going to want your device, and that's how you're going to win the heart and mind of the customer. Very important, very difficult to do. I'm very excited because this is the first time in over 10 years that I've had a question answered about how do we get people to love the stuff that we do? Okay, now again, just an example of what I'm talking about. It's a very established model, very, very established. Get money from your customers, get money from your partners. Right? We all know why service providers want to do this. We also know why Google won't like it. Sure. At some point, people will be able to take the iPhone. The question is, how is AT&T protected long term? Long term, there's no protection. But the important thing is just the principle, but that for the first time in my adult life, I see something that people love that's related to a communication service, and it's a relationship. Right? Nobody has a relationship with a T1. I have a T1. I don't have a relationship with it. I just want it to work. Right? So the iPhone is really important, but it's one of these things where there's this notion of sustainable competitive advantage. There's no such thing. You can have advantage, it won't be sustained because people will copy you. But that's why the sort of IMS, innovation at Google speed, keep it rolling forward is so important. Any advantage you have will be eroded within 3 years. You've got to keep moving. Good question. Now, what's the stuff that you can offer a partner to make it really compelling? The size of your user base is important. Your billing relationships, the database mining that you can do, quality of service is very important. I mean, for those of you who are curious, this is network neutrality, and the problem is we can't agree on what network neutrality is. I initially thought it was a fairly decent idea in terms of being pro-competitive. I've actually decided that it's not a clean trade-off, but we're better off not having it. And the reason for that is, I as an end user want whatever it is that I'm using to work really well. If it's video, you've got to have quality of service or the video is not going to work to my satisfaction. So as a practical end user, the person who pays for the services, network neutrality, if it means you can't prioritize packets, lousy idea. Right? Same thing's true for my voice. Same is true for the other applications that are coming. I as an end user demand that you, the service provider, give me the quality that I paid you for. You can't do that in an environment where it is legally impossible for someone to prioritize packets. Now, obviously one of the other things that's happening in terms of strategy is the internet is a parallel universe to telecom. Those bits may run over the same glass we've got in the ground, but it's a totally distinct business ecosystem. What we've got to do in the telecom business is figure out ways to merge them together. Right? And there are ways to do that. I'm convinced we're going to find the way to do this, but we've really strategically got to marry those two things together to really be effective and profitable in the future. Now, you're probably hearing a little bit about cloud computing, managed services, hosted services. Again, this is a big deal because what's happening is we're building networks that are capable of taking applications that normally used to reside on a hard drive or someplace inside my building and moving them out to someplace in the network. And you're thinking, well, you could do that, but what's the advantage? Well, the advantage is some of you have to do your own IT. I do. And I just bought a new PC. I've got to reconfigure everything. And I want the look and feel of my new machine to have the personality, and it's really a personality of the old machine. Because of various cloud mechanisms, I was able to go back and restore the look and feel of my old machine in a couple hours. Every application, every bookmark, every address, it was wonderful. It's the first time in my 2 decades of using computers where I personally was able to replicate the look and feel of my old PC on the new machine. It's a wonderful thing. You cannot do that unless your data and your bookmarks are automatically updated in the cloud, so the next time you power up, it all comes back down. Right? And this is a wonderful thing. We need to do more of this stuff. Managed services is a very high margin business in the first place, but more and more of the things that people are going to be willing to pay fairly decent money for are going to be applications, and there's no particular reason why the provider of that application needs to be a Google with server farms all over the place, or a carrier with relationships with Google so that you've got server farms all over the place, or you have your own server farms. It really doesn't matter. It's a detail. Take care of it, right? But cloud computing is very important. Once all of your really important, not just data, but look and feel elements of your end user experience just on the PC are always safe and backed up, you replicate them very quickly from wherever you happen to be. Public PC, for example, right? Those of you who travel, occasionally you may not have your PC with you, or your PC's on the fritz or whatever. You go to a public terminal, you go on the website and you want to do something. It's very important that the look and feel of that experience is just the way you're used to having it presented to you. Right? So you do this by putting applications in the cloud. With that, I'm going to stop. And if there are any final questions, I'll be glad to take them. I realize this is a large room and it's kind of intimidating to ask, but... Oh, I have half an hour? Ah, great. Okay. Whew, this is the part I like. Start over. People who have seen me speak before realize that I really don't like using slides in the first place. In fact, when I run panel, they typically tell people, you don't get to use slides. And they go, can't do that. I go, I don't like using them. It blocks the communication and the conversation. So I'd rather have a conversation for you, and if I have 30 minutes, let's talk. Jim.
Which particular business segments in the industry will change first or need to change first? And as those business segments change, what other business segments are going to be forced to change more rapidly?
Okay. Wireless.